Here, I'll bring. Hey, man. Yeah, I could hear you. What's going on?
Okay, good. So my issue with part of this is, by the way, I'm coming from Montreal, Canada. I've been involved with some of the organizing for the pro-Palestinian side of this locally, and I wanted to mention that there's an issue of framing sometimes with this issue, and obviously this was a topic of anti-Semitism, and it is something that should be between the Jewish community. But there's also this issue of the way that the conversation is framed around who whose protection is valued and whose isn't. So, for example, when I bring up the example of Toronto, I've been on the streets of Montreal with somebody. For example, my friend was threatened with a gun, where somebody spat in somebody else's face and almost caused a riot, which I had to break up. There's examples of what, like, the realistic things of actually what happens. And I don't think that it is anti-Semitic for the crowd to try to beat up somebody who spat on someone, for example. That's not a case of that. That's a case of provocation and response. Anti-Semitism is unprovoked actions against people for being Jewish. That's kind of the whole point, right? And when it gets mixed in with this, when the crowd is being vilified because of provocations, which should not be responded to, but are. For example, there's provocations in the chat, for example, where they're talking about how, like when I'm mentioning how there was chants of death to Arabs, the responses were, well, okay, sure, let's go for it. Like that, they're okay with it, basically. And if you're, I understand it's hard to moderate a chat and a debate at the same time, but if you're okay with those people and it's not an instant ban for people who are troublemakers, as you point out, it's going to lead to people not being around, like not wanting to engage.
Okay, I hear you. I agree. I think probably the solution, and honestly, there's no good reason why we haven't done this until now, because we do have enough volunteers. What we should do is we just should have more external people moderating the chat, so it's not on me, because the multitasks makes it very hard. And yeah, we should probably, I don't know if per se ban people outright, but mute them the second that they're acting hateful. Yeah, I hear you. I appreciate that.
Sometimes
I appreciate that feedback.
I totally agree, and sometimes it is like a question, but a lot of what was in that chat was not a question. It was just outright, you guys are evil, hateful people. And I was making jokes in the chat. I don't know if you noticed, where I was basically like, yes, Palestinians thirst for the blood of blonde children, that sort of thing. And that's obviously, like, I was just playing around with that because I'm trying to make fun of their rhetoric, but like there needs to be somebody to point out when something is inappropriate and when it isn't. And I think humor was the only way to, like, even moderately moderate what they were doing.
I hear you. Thank you, H. I'm going to bring Nate on because I do want to hear from him as well. But if you'd like to come on at a future date for another session, you're more than welcome to, and I appreciate the feedback.
I can give you my email if there's some private way of providing it.
Yeah, in the description you can find my contact information. So just reach out to me on whatever social media platform you're most comfortable with.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Great, H. Thank you. Nate, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy we're getting to talk with voice and not over text. Where
it wasn't so pleasant yesterday when I was watching the video and you said people like to hide behind these things. Not people don't like to hide behind these things, but sometimes people aren't given a platform, and you assume that they just want to hide behind things, but when they're offered a platform, then they agree. So you're like sort of like you're like assuming things about people. You make a lot of comments like that, like snide comments that assume things about people and generalize people, and it's not right.
So I would agree with you that I engage in a fair amount of snark with the chat, and this is something I've reflected on.
Yeah, and even after I don't mean to go you. I'm not good at this, by the way, because I'm not a public speaker. You're obviously, you've been doing this for a while. You're educated in this. Some people don't want to be on the camera and don't want to be in the session and want to express their opinions, and they have every right to. And it's not a negative about them that they're hiding behind a keyboard or they don't want to show themselves. You say a lot of insulting things that aren't right, and then when someone says something back to you, you say, "Oh, you're banned. You're not acting in good faith." It's like kind of ridiculous.
So I want to first address the first thing you said, and then move to the second. So it's true that I do engage in snark with people in the audience. And this is something I have internal reflection on, because I often say to myself, maybe I should be more compassionate towards those people. And honestly, it's quite possible that that is a better approach. The reason I engage in snark is, I guess, two reasons. First of all, it's generally towards people who are come every single week and are just pretty nasty. Like Nate, I haven't, I today was my first time addressing you on the live stream. It's more so Star Hopper, who literally comes and says racist shit every single week.
I haven't. I don't.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about, normally the snark's not directed towards you. It's directed towards
I know,
people
but
who are here every week. Wait, let me just finish, and are
Sure.
just nasty.
Sure.
And I also recognize that it has like some entertainment value to it. Like it's just fun and funny. So I see it as like a fair trade-off. I'm like, you know what? These are people who are obviously trolls. The people who I call out on live chat, they never. It's not people who have their photo up or their full name. I'm not going to call those people out because I don't want to publicly shame anybody. But if you're hiding behind a fake profile picture and a fake name, and you're just coming to the chat to be mean to people, so I'm definitely, I use that for entertainment purposes. I could definitely hear the case that I should still be more compassionate to those people. Again, I have this internal reflection. I do see snark as being acceptable with those people, but I'm open to the feedback that there is a better approach, and I consciously do recognize that. Now, to say that I respond with criticism, with banning, I mean, this just isn't, I mean, this cannot be farther from the truth.
And can I interject one thing?
Sure.
The moment I joined the server a few days ago, I was immediately like jumped on and put into a breather. I didn't even know what a breather. Nobody said anything to me. Nobody said, "Oh, can you try?" No, so I was just put in a breather, and I figured, "Oh, maybe the breather after the Sabbath, I'll go on. I'll be off the breather." It was a day later. I was still on the breather. Nobody explained to me why I was on the breather. Nobody explained to me, "You're going on the breather." There is such a nobody. I know I read the principles, whatever afterward, but still, like I could have. I assumed that I was on the breather for indefinitely. Nobody said anything to me. Like so from that moment on, I was already joining. It was in bad faith. The whole thing was in bad faith against me. And then everybody's looking at every single thing I say after that, because, oh, this guy is this guy's that, this guy's it, and like I feel, it just wasn't, it takes people like there's a certain amount of time it takes a person to get. Someone would have said to me, you can't, you can't use that language you said, or this and that, and then I say to them, oh, but this person said that to me first, and this, and whatever they say, but at least there's a conversation. Like from the moment I joined the server, I felt like I was totally like treated unfairly. You even told me I was treated unfairly, and then also the final straw that broke the back, I guess, was I was engaging with you in an emotional debate about something that I take seriously, and it was about it wasn't like a serious debate, but it was about a profile pic, and you were going back and forth with me about it, and I was trying to show you how your logic wasn't like standing up. And instead of you were engaging with me, and then you just banned me in the middle of the conversation. It's like totally like you could expect someone to feel like they're being like treated unfairly and silenced, and maybe you have other things going on. There are other people telling you other things on the side that are, but like it's like from my position, I felt like very, very abused and very, very treated unfairly, and I'm not the only one who felt that way. There are other people on your server who felt the same way, that I was being treated unfairly. So it's like everything rests in your interpretation, whether someone's acting in bad faith or not, or whether you think someone's misinterpreting what other people are saying. So like then expect pushback, when people are silenced, because it's just, you say you don't ban people quickly. I was banned pretty quickly.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
Okay.
First of all, I do agree the first time you were put on a breather, you were treated unfairly. Not that I think that your behavior was okay, but you were reacting to somebody who engaged in a personal attack against you, and that should have been taken into context. One of the reasons why you were unbanned was because I felt like you were treated unfairly. I had a discussion with other mods. Some of the other mods were not okay with me bringing you back, and I said again,
of course not.
right. So I said, again, I think you were treated unfairly. You deserve another chance. That actually caused one of the mods to quit, which
Right.
upset me.
I think that was
Now,
your decision making here. That you're taking emotional things that upset you, and then you're
hold on, wait, Nate, let me finish. Nate, let me finish. Come
okay.
on,
Okay.
we're having a back and forth.
Okay. So it's back and forth.
So it's true that when I banned you the second time, me being upset that one of the mods quit was definitely part of why I was
Yeah, I could tell that.
short with you. That's true. It's not though. It's not about disagreeing with me, or disagreeing with something I say, or disagreeing with something another community member says. We want disagreement. That's what we are all about. People disagreeing with me helps me grow. So I urge debate and criticism and feedback. So again, it has nothing to do with that. But I will acknowledge it did have something to do with the fact that Ahmad left because of my decision to bring you back. And part of how you're engaging, hold on real quick.
Why weren't you honest about that and told me that that's part of it? You're telling me other reasons. You're not telling me the true reason. I knew there was other there are other motivating factors behind your decisions that you're not being honest about, and that's clouding the whole thing. You're telling me one reason, and the thing that's in your heart is a different reason.
No. So, Nate, please let me finish. I wasn't interrupting you when you were speaking. Okay. It's true that that was a factor, but that was not solely the reason. It's that I saw continued behavior that didn't give me confidence that you're going to be a productive member of the community. And you were doing something that I've experienced in the past, and I can't even begin to explain how emotionally draining it is when somebody constantly is misinterpreting what you say, because you need to constantly re-explain yourself. It's just, if we're going to have a community of people who misrepresent and misinterpret one another, that is just a horrible community, and that's what you were doing. So true. Wait, hold on, real quick.
Show me that.
True.
Show me that. Don't just make accusations without showing me proof of where I misinterpreted. It's very easy to throw out something and say, "Oh, you're misinterpreting people." Can you show me some examples where I misinterpreted people instead of just throwing that out there, please?
Yeah, I mean, what, you want me to do a screen share right now and go through it?
You could give me one example or two. I mean, give me a break. You're just saying
so okay. Look, when we were then speaking in private chat, and I said,
you're mighty over there, and you
what?
know, every time I said something, you say, okay, well, that doesn't fit with the rules of the. You basically, like, you pigeonhole somebody, and you, like, have total authority, and you're saying, and everything I said was that, okay, you could feel that way, but that doesn't fit with the community. Everything I said.
No, but again. So right here, this is a clear misinterpreting of what I
words. It's your words. It's not a misinterpretation. Show me where I misinterpreted your words. You know, and actually, don't show me in the private chat. Show me somewhere that was actually in the Sulha community where I misinterpreted someone's words. You know, show me that. You know.
Well, that entire chat that we had, the argument was part of a much.
That was after I was banned, and it was emotional, and you were blocking me. You told me not to message you, and that was emotional. You know, you could expect someone after going through this constant being banned, coming back up, being banned. You know, the truth is that the real reason you banned me, if that woman wouldn't have left, the Palestinian woman, or you were upset at the moderator, this would not be an issue. And that's the truth. You could say whatever you want, that the reason there was a different reason. That reason would not have come into the forefront unless you were being upset. That you were ready to find something to pound. And if you want to be honest with yourself and be honest in the situation, that's the truth. I would not. Hold
on, Nate. What? It is true that had that not happened, exactly, you wouldn't have. You wouldn't have been banned.
Not fair. It's not.
Nate. But wait, Nate. I just want to point out, because again, I don't think ultimately I made the wrong decision. And even in this discussion here, you're showing certain traits that again, like, you speak, I don't interrupt, I start speaking, and within like seconds you just jump in. Like,
I'm not used to being on a live on
a but this isn't live. This is two people having a conversation. You speak, I listen, I speak, you listen. But that's not how it's happening. So again, You've shown a lot of signs that you're not going to be a productive member of the community. And
Okay,
again,
so that's
uh,
that's your opinion. I was
okay, but you're still not letting me finish. You see, I'm trying to finish, and you're not letting me finish. It's true. It's true that had I not been upset that Ahmad left, you wouldn't have been banned again so quickly. Yeah, I acknowledge that, but I am fairly confident you would have been banned again within a few days, because there are so many other red flags. And even when we had the discussion in private chat, I explained to you, what you were doing that I found problematic, and your interpretation of that was, yeah, you just don't like when people disagree with you, when I explained something completely different. The way that you've dealt with getting banned since then, opening different profiles and just coming in like, being super salty about it and being angry. Again, these are all signs, and I'm saying this person to person. These are signs of emotional immaturity that is not going to be a productive contribution to our community. So again, after I banned you, you could have been upset, taken a few days, reached back out to me. We could have had a conversation kind of like we're having now, and we would have made it. I would have worked it out. But there's so many red flags that I just don't see how we could have you back in the community and have you be productive. If and I don't expect you to do this now, but take time to reflect on what I'm saying. Come back to me in a week, and if I actually see that you could acknowledge, where you went wrong, as I've done here today, where I've gone wrong, then I'd be happy to have another conversation to bringing you back into the community. But there's going to need to be an acknowledgement of wrongdoing and a dedication to improving.
Can I speak now?
Yeah, all you.
Yeah, so I admit that I was wrong when I first came on to use certain terms, and I moderated those terms. But you're accusing me of misinterpreting people's things, but I didn't misinterpret anything. Besides, when I'm dealing with you, you're saying I'm misinterpreting it. So like I don't like I really just feel like this. I'm bitter about the whole situation, because I'm a decent guy. I'm a good person. I in every other area of my life, I'm dealt with fairly, and I deal with others fairly. And I feel like I was screwed over here. And you should be able to understand why, after I'm banned and I'm having a private conversation with you, and you're being like kind of like high and mighty, and saying, there are things, if you want to go through that conversation with me, I could just point out to you where you were triggering, like you were throwing things at me as well. So it's like a two-way street. You can't just like attack, you can't just attack a person and say, you say all these things. And I totally could acknowledge when I was wrong, when I'm wrong about something. I even said to you, I would have understood of being put on a breather if I was approached and just said, oh, you have to put you on a breather for a thing. This is what happens here, and like, in a few days you can come back and try to be more. I'm reasonable. I mean, you're presenting me as an totally unreasonable, totally like whatever crazy off the wall person that is. Meanwhile, to tell you the truth, Adar, on your server, I had some very meaningful conversations with others in private on that server that were on the other side of the issue, and I had very meaningful that were totally not combative, totally constructive. And I posted some videos, and Tal responded to me that he would. I mean, I'm not like just going on there to make people upset. But that woman that left that as a moderator, she was quite nasty with me. The moment I came onto that server. And I have a right to just because you want the demographics to be a certain way, and you're upset that you lost one of your people. That's not my problem. Like, she attacked me. She accused me of not wanting Palestinians to exist. All these different things that I never even said, and it was very, very hurtful. And she's like, you're not going to come on here, and everybody's not going to agree with you, and all these things. You can imagine. I'm already building up resentment towards that situation. But I wanted to still stay on the community because I want to be involved in positive and constructive conversations. But on the other hand, I'm being attacked. It's like you don't give a person enough chance. I just feel I feel I was dealt with unfairly, and I couldn't have reached out to you again because you took me off as a friend. So in the middle, when I was conversing with you and DMing you, you took me off. I wrote good night, Adar, and then I said, oh, this message didn't go through because the person doesn't have you as a friend. You think I'm gonna invite you as a friend to DM you again and reach out when you already took me off? I mean, come on, you're doing things that are contradictory to what you're saying. Like, it's like you have a right not to have me on your solo thing, but I have a right to be very upset about it, and I feel that I would have been a constructive member, and that I was coming with in good faith, and I felt like I was, and you agree with that shaded your judgment, and you're assuming that I probably would have been banned at a certain later date. He's like, you're sure you wouldn't have been banned then, but you probably, because there's so many red flags. I mean, it's just when I was speaking with many members on that site, and we were going back and forth in different channels, they didn't say to me there were red flags. They didn't say anything. They didn't say anything to me like And I've even been talking to Beast Process lately, and the guy with the Arabic. I don't know what his name, because it's the Arabic. And we had a constructive private conversation. Like, it takes a little time for people to get to know each other, and to it's like you have to give some leeway. I think that the initial experience that I had when I came on, that made everything bad, because I was dealt with unfairly, and then that woman, so whatever her name is, I forget her name, Sulhana, she left, and she was upset because I was defending myself against her attacks against me. I mean, come on, like, it's not right. I see plenty of, that's what that is. So that's basically where I'm coming from. I hear what you're saying, and you want me to. I admit that I used unfortunate language at the very beginning. I admit that, and I admit that. I see that you think that I'm misinterpreting what people are saying. I mean, I see the words that you type. If someone types words to you that can be interpreted, I feel I'm being misinterpreted as well. I mean, it's just a very easy thing to say. Oh, you're misinterpreting people. It's very easy to say that, but I haven't had anyone else say that to me, that you're misinterpreting what I'm saying to me besides you.
I hear you. I will show you examples, but again, I do acknowledge that you were treated unfairly, and I apologize that that's what happened to you. Then that was your experience in the community. I do hope that you reflect on the feedback I gave you. And if you want, we can speak again in a week and reassess what the best way moving forward is. I think this was ultimately a good conversation, but their work and dedication to better discourse is going to need to be had in order for us to move forward together. But I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. I think ultimately this was a productive conversation. I am going to bring somebody else on just because we do have a bunch of people waiting.
How do I reach out to you? Because I can't. I'm blocked from DM.
I'll message you.
Okay.
I got you. No hard feelings, Nate. Be well.
Okay.
David, what's up?
Hey, Shalom. Great to meet you. I was just random. I've watched your show like 10 times. I spoke with Mordecai, and I just came up on my screen that you were live, and I saw you had the link in the chat, so I thought I'd say hi.
Oh, cool. What's on your mind?
Nothing much. I'm in Metro Detroit. I'm a streamer. I'm kind of like a failed Haredi, Bolt Tshuva. But I think Zionism, I see, kind of disasters happening in the Jewish community, fissures, and lack of communication, lack of conversation, hard to create, Israeli politics, but on all levels. And, I know that, Rashida Tlaib's people here, and I was just talking on a different stream about Andy Levin and famous Carl Levin's nephew. And, he's being called an anti-Semite now for defending Ilhan Omar. And, I think things really got out of hand. And so I didn't prepare anything. I just saw your live, and I say, I'm glad you're doing your show. Whatever you're dealing with, streaming's tough work. I started out promoting Judaism, like Chabad, and just teaching people how to do Friday night prayers. And I ended up pretty prominent debating anti-Semites, largely from people trolling my channel. But now I'm more known for arguing with anti-Semites. And I'm actually the one who hooked up Mordecai to debate Adam Green
Oh, cool.
I debated Joseph Cohn, but yeah, I just wanted to say thanks. And
Sure.
yeah, I'm not sure what you got going on, but I was saying maybe you should talk to religious anti-Zionists, or if not now, type people, because I think the anti-Zionism is very strong among Jews. I lived in Borough Park and even went to I was in Bubba Yeshiva, same yeshiva as Mordechai, and pretty anti-Zionist there. And now I see in Metro Detroit, like if not now, and the younger generation, I don't know if it's anti-Zionism is becoming the norm, but it's growing, and I think we're almost at the point where we're waging war against each other and not having conversations. So randomly, if you want to talk, we can in a few minutes. So I just want to say, thanks for streaming, thanks for trying to do this, and obviously it's tough work.
Yeah, thank you. Your name's David?
Duvid. I'm David Kelton in Metro Detroit. I usually just go by Duvid because I'm more, it's dangerous to be a streamer, especially, debating counter Semites. But so it's usually safer. I just go by. And I created my channel to promote Judaism, actually. So that's why I called my channel.
Well, I appreciate the words of encouragement. This little session is giving people an opportunity to come on and criticize me or the platform, but words of encouragement are cool too. I'd be happy to discuss a collaboration at some point. So if you reach out to me, my info's in the description. Let's talk and see what we can do together. I'd also be happy to debate Adam Green, but it seems like he doesn't want to debate a secular humanist Jew.
He would. I message him kind of frequently. In fact, I'm here in Metro Detroit, and Sherman Wein, the founder of humanistic Judaism, and I'm a Bolshev. I went to basically a secular humanistic school that was founded by Jews, but it was like 20% Jewish. But yeah, I think Adam Green would almost definitely have you on his show. So, and I'm the rare guy who defended. I didn't think Adam Green was anti-Semitic, and unfortunately, it's probably the level of like Adam Green's voicing. Probably like 10-20% of Americans are asking the questions of the same thing Adam Green has. And if Adam Green's anti-Semitic, then like 20% of America is anti-Semitic, and we're in a bad situation.
I hear that. I reached that conclusion just because Mordechai tried to get me on his show and he rejected. So I figured that
because of me. I think because I'm the only one that defends him against anti-Semitism.
Okay.
So if you went through Mordechai, he probably figured that you're just going to call him an anti-Semite.
Okay. Well.
Okay, so I'll reach out to you. I appreciate having him on, and keep up the good work.
Thanks for reaching out, David. Reach out to me on one of my social media platforms. We'll continue chatting.
Okay, we'll do.
Cool. Mossad, what's up, man?
Oh, I wasn't ready. Yeah, I'm okay, thanks. Yeah, I think I wanted to complain in a more general way, because I think what Nate has come up against is basically a problem that I don't know if you can even solve, because we are all biased, and you're just very biased to the left. You may not think you're very far left, but that is my impression, which is, that's cool. I mean, I'm sure you thought about your opinions, and you can justify them, or at least try to. But that bias causes you to see someone who disagrees with you as what you call unproductive or hateful or even racist, because this is what the left has been doing. And I don't know if it would be any different if the right controlled, if it was the right, it would probably be the same. But at the moment, it's the left that is doing that. There is a tendency to block people on the right. There's a high sensitivity. People on the right have to self-censor all the time, where people on the left, less so. I mean, they do too, but less so. And this is what Nate was kind of going on about his specific case, but I think it's just a general thing where certain opinions are considered hateful, but to me they're totally valid. And I think that the leftist opinion is I wouldn't say hateful, but destructive. So if you keep thinking that right-wingers are the bad ones, the ones that if there were no right-wingers there wouldn't be war, you misunderstand the world. It doesn't work like that, you know.
Yeah, so I hear you. I'm going to be honest. I think you
Oh, sorry,
have
just
like,
one more thing about
sure.
completely. Just sorry, I forgot because I wanted to say it first. But this guy that phoned from Canada that was saying people are saying death to Arabs. I mean, that's disgusting. Life, please, life to Arabs, health, prosperity, and happiness to Arabs. No, no death,
Cool.
please.
I'm happy you're saying that.
Yeah, I
But
think
look,
that's the majority opinion in Israel. People don't want Arabs dead. I mean, you know,
that's true.
we
It
have
is.
we have a big argument with them and a dispute, but I don't think we want them dead. You know, I don't definitely.
I think
Sorry.
those who will be vocal about wanting them dead are a minority, but per, perhaps too significant of a minority. It's not extremely. It's not as fringe as I'd like it to be. But just about your feedback, I do think you have a false image of me. Me being far left. So I don't like the left-right paradigm because it doesn't give you a great understanding of how people view things. But if you take my criticism of Israel, it's true that comes off as far left. My criticism is similar to the far left, except
Yeah.
I'm very adamant about Israel having a right to exist and calling for Israel's destruction being harmful, right? So that's where I'm probably quite different from the far left. When it comes
Yes,
to
true.
when it comes to like free markets and a social safety net, I definitely am left of center. I think we should have a social safety net, but I do value free markets. I think they're great at solving certain problems. And I'm very critical of authority, which is something that both the left and the right do, depending on where you are oriented on the spectrum.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm critical of authority too. So
but I do want to tell you something, because when it comes to the woke left, which are huge on censorship, shutting down conversation, assuming the worst of somebody's intentions, I am so in opposition to all that stuff. And I feel like that's almost your impression of me. If a right winger disagrees with me, I welcome that discussion. That's why I had Mordechai on for a debate. I knew his views are very different from me. I have no problem with that. The people who are getting put on breathers in chat are ones who are saying actually hateful stuff, like whether it's a group generalization of people, whether it's a personal attack. These are the people who are put on breathers. It's not people criticizing ideas on the merits of ideas.
yeah, but it's your bias that sees. You know, it's like your place on the scale is where you judge what is hateful from. You are less likely to see a leftist opinion as hateful than
Well,
a right-wing opinion is
again,
hateful.
but
And that's not the fault of yours. You know, it's we're all like
no,
that.
no,
It's
but
not
Mossad,
you know,
it's
you're not
not.
superhuman.
Do you know? First of all, it's true. I have bias, of course. I'm a human. But if you look, we only have 12 people who are banned from the YouTube channel. That's it, 12. The majority of them are anti-Semites. The people here who came spreading like Nazi propaganda.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything because there's like, you know, many more anti-Semites than Israelis, Israeli right-wingers. So those proportions don't mean a thing. You know, it's just a general thing that happens. I've noticed it happen to. I mean, to give an example of your bias, you literally thinking that you need more women on the channel. To me, is left-wing bias, because to me it should be organic. If a woman wants to speak, great, let her speak. But if I wouldn't make any effort to bring more women or more white people or yellow people or short people or fat people. Whoever comes and wants to express their opinion, especially if it's interesting, then let them come on. I mean, but
So
that's a leftist thinking. You see,
yeah, no, for sure. That's an ideological disagreement between us. I don't know if
No,
it's
but
so
I'm
much.
not against women coming in. Please do.
No,
But I
you
wouldn't
just
search
don't
out
think
for them. You know.
right. So again, I don't know if this is bias per se. This is just an ideological disagreement. I could back up
It is
why.
a bias. It is a bias because it ends up allowing more rejecting men to favor women. So there'll be 10 million women who want to come on, and 100 men, and those 10 will get to. But out of those 100, only 10 men would get to. So it's like you're creating a bias
no,
situation
but
from the
Mossad,
start.
you're talking about a problem in you're addressing a criticism of something like affirmative action, but that's not how it would play out on the show. We don't have a long list of men who aren't coming on the show.
No, I know, but that's just a general point. That kind of thinking.
But again, this is a case by case. This is a case by case basis. I've heard the
I was trying
critiques
to
of.
make more general points rather than attack you personally, because Nate was going on about his personal issue with you. I was trying to make this general point where it's not just you, but the left assumes that their position is the center, and they always hate to say, oh, well, I don't like left and right, because they want to think that they're in the center. We all do, to be honest, but they kind of, by rejecting opinions that are outside your kind of Overton window, whatever you want to call it, is hate. They're not always hate. I mean, I can go through stuff you say and say, oh, to me that's hateful, because the consequences of what you say will be death to my family. So to me that's hateful. But I mean, we can define all sorts of things as hateful.
Sure,
take it to anything,
That's true. That's true.
And this is a problem, and on top of it, YouTube is making it hard as well. So the whole debate is veering leftwards and leftwards and leftwards, to the point where people think that right-wingers hate Palestinians. I don't hate Palestinians. I wish them the best. I absolutely do not hate them. There's no reason for me to hate all these people. They never done anything to me personally.
Masad, I just want to, again, no, I just feel like a lot of the criticism is criticism you have of the left in general, but I actually do not think that is quite, I don't think that's quite the case. So it's true that, again, I have bias 100%, but, and your criticism is how loosely hate is interpreted, right? It's like, oh, that, racism, whatever, you know how like the woke left does, they'll call anything hate. Speech is hate and silence is violence, right? Yes. Speech is violence and silence is violence. So it's like, what are you left to do? Just conform to what they want you to do, right? Yeah. I hear you, but we have a criteria. We try to follow it. Our bias doesn't allow us to follow it 100%, but we do try to work by a criteria. So group generalization. So for example, Star Hopper often, if a Palestinian is speaking, Star Hopper will say, you tried to kill us. He will say you because they're Palestinian. So he's attributing the collective to an individual. That's not cool.
That's true, but that's true to an extent. But many times when you say you're just generalizing I know, but I'm not cool with that. So he should find a way to express himself better. He should say there has been a lot of calls for Israel's destruction in Palestinian society. This is why we don't feel safe. This is why we feel the need to defend ourselves. Cool, say that. But when a guest is speaking, he says, it's your fault. You did this. You brought this upon yourself. Okay, no, we're not cool with that here. Again, there could be some bias involved, but we do have a criteria. So personal attacks, group generalizations, or just being unnecessarily inflammatory, which I guess is the most up for interpretation. We try to get these people out of here because internet is a toxic cesspool by and large. Go on Twitter, go on YouTube comment section. We want our contribution, Sulha's contribution to the world is to be positive. And so we don't want to foster a toxic environment, even in the chat. You have to understand that what you see as positive, someone like me sees as negative.
Again, right? There's gonna be interpretation for sure.
Therefore, what you see as negative is me. My opinions you see as negative. We'll probably agree on certain things, but if we go down,
Masad, you've never been put on a breather. You have never been put on a breather. So
no, but I'm just because I know how to be careful. Okay.
It's because you know how to engage in a way that.
No, I self-censor a lot more than leftists have to. It's just a fact. I can see them getting away with stuff that I know if I wrote the same thing, I will be blocked. Not just here, just generally by YouTube or by moderators. They will jump on me and tell me that I'm hateful and start arguing with me, and I can't be bothered with that. I just block them. I just block them. I just said to everyone who starts annoying me, you have 2 seconds before I block you. Say something nice.
So, to be honest, I haven't actually seen you be hateful. We obviously don't agree on a lot.
I don't want to be hateful.
No. I've actually not seen you. I don't think your rhetoric is hateful. I think the past few days you've made some false accusations about the channel myself, but I don't view you. I don't think you've been hateful, and that's why you haven't been put on.
It was shorthand. You know, when you type, it's like you get angry and you type as quick as you can
Yeah,
and the shortest
yeah.
sentence you can. So,
But so just recognize that again, it's not the disagreements isn't what's getting people banned, right? So you haven't been hateful. That's why you've never been put on a breather. You haven't been banned. So there definitely is a way to navigate. And again, maybe you feel like you're walking on eggshells,
I
but
am.
we're pretty. Again, you feel like you're walking on eggshells in this space, or in general, in what you consider to be left-wing spaces.
I mean, first, on this channel, yes, especially depending on which mods are active. I don't know, maybe the mod that left, that got upset with Nate is a mod that would have got angry with me. But YouTube is blocking me. I have to change words. And I'm not
I
saying
know
anything.
I know.
You know, they block me from saying words because uh, I got into some argument defending black people, and now I can't write the word black. Every time I write anything with the word black,
Yes. So.
it's
I'm,
crazy.
I'm happy you're bringing this up. So, chat, I want to make this very clear. We don't delete comments unless like someone wrote a very nasty comment about one of our guests. I deleted that because I know that our guests read the comments and I didn't want them to be insulted. If it was a legit critique, I would have kept it there. But YouTube deletes so many comments, and some of them aren't even problematic. Like YouTube algorithm picks up on certain words and deletes stuff. So what I would suggest people do is take your comment and put it in notes before posting it. And then if it gets deleted, try to change the wording to post it again. Because YouTube is like authoritarian as fuck when it comes to censorship. It's wild. And they don't
it's
even give you as
insane.
a channel the right to decide, like to be more lax.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's messed up. Mossad, I do
it's
want to
crazy.
bring
But I
on.
think thanks for
I,
listening. But I
I,
think it's something for you to maybe think about in general because I think, and I mentioned this you know, I was writing that this you're seeing the world in a very American way. You know, I've been living in Europe and a bit in America. You see the world in a very American way. America is an unusual country where different ethnicities created a country effectively, and the country was set up in a certain way, and you're all made to think that way. But most of the countries of the world are not like that. They're built around an ethnicity, and you think in a different mode to how this, and people have, you know, have joked about it in different ways before with you, and you know, this, I hear this is a repeating theme, and it's something, it's really hard to get out of that mindset because I'm an Israeli in you know, in England, and I can't get off my Israeli mind, you know, and I have to adjust myself to fit into the English state of how you behave. So it's really hard, but you have to keep thinking about that. You know, you have to wonder. I think you grew up in America, and the American ideal, which is beautiful, there's nothing wrong with it, is sort of stuck in your mind. Sorry, I'm taking too much time, so I'll let the next guy go.
Yeah,
Go.
I do want to let other people on, but I appreciate this conversation, and you know, I think we'll do these chats more often. I think they're ultimately healthy. So thanks for
Great, thank
sticking
you.
around, Mossad.
Yeah, I'll
Talk
listen.
soon.
Thanks.
We're gonna let some more on. Atrify, I see by your like hand motions that you really want to get on, but we do have other people. One quick thing, okay? It's gonna be 15 seconds.
Okay, the point I want to make is to respond to the women on this. The kind of people who act in this way in the chat drive women off more because the cost for women for engaging in online hate, the cost for them, the risks for them are higher. That's why they don't do it. The amount of hate they get from this kind of crowd, which frankly some of the guests were like that, is much more dangerous for them than it is for a man. I'm a man, I can defend myself. I don't have the social pressures. If somebody goes and doxes me, it's not going to be as dangerous. That is the main issue. One of the main issues of why they don't come on as much. And frankly, it's one of the reasons why I'm the face of an organization rather than the 2/3 of women who are part of it, because they don't want to have this kind of violence directed at them, basically.
Right. No. Thanks, H. I think that's one of the reasons why we have less women coming on, because the attacks against them are way harsher. I've noticed that when women voice controversial or strong opinions, they get a lot more hate than what I get, for example, for doing them. So I hear you.
I just wanted to say that, and I didn't even respond to anything else Mossad said and his identitarianism.
Thank you, H. Cool. Fremont, what's up?
Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
This is cool. This is kind of like a call-in radio show, but on YouTube. We're doing it. Yeah. What's up, Fremont? Cool. What's on your mind?
I discovered your channel not long ago. It's nice. I like it. I'm French. I am neither Jew nor Arab nor Palestinian nor Muslim nor anything. I'm educating myself on this situation, let's say. And there was one point that surprised me, almost shocked me, that you talked about, that in France, if you would say there is even saying it sounds freaking weird, a Jewish gene, that sounds very anti-Semitic. I mean, you would be labeled far right, close to Nazi for just saying it. And hearing on your channel that it's a total normal thing to talk. And of course, when I think about it, it's like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, there's a small group of people living in some area 2,000 years ago when there was not so much interbreeding. Okay, apart from the brutal custom of that time, when there was, the people were attack other tribes and take women from that area and interbreed. So yeah, there will be interbreeding, but not that much, I guess. So of course, a group of people in an area, well, yeah, they have a common genes, like Dans have, like Caribs have, like and everything. But the sentence, that sounded so weird. And I wondered, well, does that mean anything to you? And is it not anti-Semitic?
Yeah, so this is a good question and not so easy to answer. The Jewish gene is problematic because that's kind of how Hitler viewed Jews, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hitler said Jews aren't just a religion, they're a people. Even if you're an atheist Jew, we still will round you up. But that doesn't mean that there isn't genes. And genes are complex. It's not just that there's a Jewish gene. It's that in doing DNA tests, you can see if somebody is ethnically Jewish. So Judaism is a religion, but it's also a meta-ethnicity. So a collection of a few different ethnicities that seem to have a common heritage. So that's what we mean by Jewish gene. Now, I don't think it's a particularly interesting conversation. Often the Jewish gene conversation is brought up because someone will say Jews have no connection to the land, right? They'll say you got zero connection to the land. And then a response would be, not only do we have historically and culturally, but if you look at an Ashkenazi Jew like myself, you'll see that Ashkenazi Jewish DNA is 50% Levantine, so 50% from the Middle East. So that is a response to people saying Jews don't have connection to the land. Another time Jewish DNA is brought up, which I also think it's not a good argument, is saying, Jews deserve the right to Israel because look at our genes. Again, I don't think that's a strong argument. And then I think where Jewish genes are most relevant is in just genetics and pharmacology. So there's, for example, Jews have certain Ashkenazi Jews primarily have certain like genetic diseases that they're way more common to have. So it's not uncommon when two Ashkenazi Jews get married and are going to have children that they get genetic tests to see that they both don't have the Tay-Sachs gene, which is quite common amongst Ashkenazis. So in that instance, it actually is important. There's a benefit to understanding that there are genes that Jews are more likely to have in their DNA. So I hope that kind of gives you.
Drepanocytose. I'm searching it on internet. I'll say that in English. But like drepanocytose, if you are black, you have more chances to get drepanocytose.
Yeah, it's similar to that, okay. Right? So there are genes that are more common in certain ethnic groups, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it's not particularly important. Like somebody who's constantly talking about Jewish genes,
I was wondering if that. But thanks for your answer. I think I get it. Okay, it makes sense. It's not something like you base your. Worldview would be a big sentence, but your appreciation of your kind between bracket claim to Israel.
No, I don't find it particularly.
It's not something like that. Okay. That's reassuring, really, because I mean, if I didn't hear that from Israeli Jews, somebody you can't, I mean, technically can't say they are anti-Semitic, and I would not know who said that. I would be like, whoa, that's freaking Nazi. But okay, no, it's just okay. You looked it up and you realize that, yeah, on a grammatical point of view, it's practical.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's true. That is a point that I actually didn't bring it up. Somebody who is like, you could be a Jewish supremacist and then also constantly be focusing on genes, being like the Jewish genes are somehow supreme. Right. That too would be a red flag. So there's a lot of instances in which Jewish genes would be brought up where you could see it as a red flag for something. Not inherently. It just depends on the context of the conversation. I'm going to bring on someone else, Fremont. You have any?
Okay, well, thank you. I was just wanted to say that it's a nice channel, and muchos besos, gros bisous. Si tu viens en Normandie, un de ces quatre, n'hésite pas, je te ferai découvrir le coin. Ah, yes, and one more thing, just one more thing, with a lot of love. I mean, there are two nations who are the most stupid on this planet. It's England and France. We had 100-year-old war. Please don't beat us and just get along, guys. Thank you very much.
True.
I don't want Joan of Arc to be forgotten.
Thank you.
Bye.
I just want to take this super chat. Matthew K, $10. Thank you so much. Anyone getting blocked is immature and too focused on proving their point rather than actually contributing to a constructive debate. Don't loop Adar in with wokeness. Cancel culture doesn't apply here. I agree, and I appreciate the words of encouragement. I appreciate that. All right, I do want to wrap it up. We're going on 2.5 hours. We will bring on 2 more people, and then we're going to sign off. Nir, what's up?
Hi, can you hear me good?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay, so I live in Israel, and I consider myself a left Zionist. For me, what that means is that we do have a right for self-determination in Israel. That doesn't mean that the Palestinians don't have the same right, because we are both indigenous to this land. What I want to ask you are 2 questions. The first one is about anti-Semitism. Do you think there is a chance that it will fade out in the next, let's say, 20 to 30 years? And the second question is, do you think somehow we can change the way the world views Zionism, or how people say Zion Nazism or something like that? Because I really think Zionism is a great idea. It's like, I view myself as a Zionist in my heart. It pains me to see such bad things said about Zionism in Israel, because even though people think that left people don't like Israel, that's not true. I love my country. That doesn't mean that I have to hate Palestinians to love it. That's my view.
Yeah, good questions. I don't think anti-Semitism is going to disappear anytime soon. It's hard for me to predict anything. Nir, I'm going to mute you just because I'm getting an echo. Cool. But it really is hard to predict anything a few decades in the future, just because of how fast things are actually really changing. You know, we don't really know what the world is going to look like, and I think often forms of hate aren't created in a vacuum. They're connected to environmental conditions which cause people to lash out at different groups for one way or another. Generally, if you're a happy person, if you're doing well socioeconomically, if you have meaning in life, you're not going to be hateful. So if the world evolves to a place where people have meaning and people aren't struggling to survive, then I think naturally you're going to have a lot less forms of group hate. And I'm hopeful we could bring the world to that point. When it comes to viewing Zionism differently, I think I don't think we're going to win any PR war. I think like how Hasbara is doing it, just trying to justify what Israel does and saying defense this and that, I don't think that's ever going to be a winning argument. I think people would be able to get on board with Zionism when the conflict is solved. because currently they view a lot of human rights abuses done in the name of Zionism. What I suggest, and I think this might be the single best way to get people okay with Zionism, is actually to not use the term. I'm not sure the term Zionism is needed, because if we're going to say Zionism is just the right to Jewish self-determination, why does that need a special word, right? I support Jewish self-determination. I support Palestinian self-determination. I support Kurdish self-determination. I support people's right to self-determine. We don't need a special term to describe that form of self-determination. It's true that the history of Zionism, it didn't just mean self-determination. It was a very specific political movement. And most people who are anti-Zionist are not against Jewish self-determination. They're against that political movement, which wanted an exclusive Jewish state on land that had other inhabitants. So when anti-Zionists are viewing Zionism differently from how we are identifying as Zionists, so my suggestion is to just make the claim, I think Jews have a right to self-determine. Jews have a right to a homeland. Jews have a right to be safe in that homeland. I think that's a much easier case to be made than try to defend the Z word, which they view as like inherently like hateful. It's just an unnecessary uphill battle. So that's my suggestion for how to have these conversations. I don't use the term Zionist when I'm engaging with people. I just say, why wouldn't you support Jewish self-determination? What's wrong with that? People deserve that right, and generally people agree with that.
Okay, so you don't use the word Zionist, but do you, in a sense, consider yourself a Zionist?
So if we're using Zionism as, I'm going to meet you again. If we mean Jewish self-determination, then yeah, I'm a Zionist. I support Jewish self-determination. If you mean Zionism, the political Zionism, which has a very troubling history and is still used today to justify certain policies, then no, I'm not that Zionist. I support Jewish self-determination. But again, when I go and tell somebody I'm a Zionist, if that person's a Zionist, then they'll be like, yeah, I get you. If that person's anti-Zionist, they're going to think there's something inherently racist or wrong with me, and we're starting the conversation from a place of deep bias. It just, the conversation is going to be less productive, and it's not only is it not a particularly useful word, but it gets in the way of having good conversation. So I just don't use it. I don't think it's needed.
So when when I talk to someone and I say that I'm a Zionist, I usually explain what Zionism is. I mean, I tell them that there's left Zionism, right Zionism, religious Zionism, secular Zionism, and it makes the person I'm talking to more open to the idea of the Jewish right to self-determination. So I'm not against you. I don't think we should stop using what you call the Z word, because I don't see nothing wrong with Zion, with going back to Zion, to Jerusalem. But yeah, I understand it triggers people. That's the thing. It troubles me that it triggers people, but we'll manage.
Yeah, no, I hear you. We could just have different strategies to how to have discourse. From my experience, I've seen that normally when a Zionist and anti-Zionist speak, they're speaking past each other. The Zionist is going to say why Jews deserve self-determination, and the anti-Zionist is going to explain why they can't support self-determination that looks the way Zionism has looked the past 70 or even 100 plus years. So it seems like it brings the conversation into like a very philosophical point, to a very philosophical place, and it's just a less productive conversation. But if you're successfully having these conversations, then I won't tell you not to have them. It's just what I've experienced in engaging in this type of discourse.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for sure,
really
Nir.
like you.
Thank you, Nir. And if you haven't joined our Discord yet, you should
I
join
did.
it. Oh,
I
great.
did.
Awesome. So we'll continue chatting there. Thank you, Nir.
Bye.
And last but certainly not least, P-Ball, our fan favorite. P-Ball, are you here? You're on mute.
Yeah, yeah. Hello.
What's up, man?
Yeah, so about Nate, on his first on his first day on the server, like he was like kind of like, I don't know, he was aggressive, like me and Yazin were like talking with him, like we were like joking with him, we were just saying something like Israel doesn't have the right to exist, and like he was taking it so much seriously, it's like, and he actually he called us like he called us like terrorists and children just because we were joking with him.
Yeah,
I mean,
but people, you should be able to understand why that's very inflammatory to someone, especially if they don't know you, right? They just joined the server, and if you say you said it was as a joke, Israel doesn't have a right to exist. How does he know you're joking? Like, obviously, that's gonna offend somebody.
yeah, true. I
But,
I know that, but like it's kind of like we made it to him obvious that we were joking, but still he didn't understand. Like, yeah, I'm not.
yeah, well, we save the jokes for the playground channel just so we don't have these misinterpretations, right?
Yeah, like we were messaging him on Playground, I think. Yeah, on play. Yeah, on
No,
Playground.
I don't think it was there. It was in one of the discussion channels. But look, I I hear you. I mean, you should be able to understand why he would be offended by that. Similar to, let's say you just join a Discord, you don't know anybody there, and then an Israeli says, "There's no such thing as Palestine." You wouldn't like that.
Yeah, true, but yeah, I understand why he was kind of angry and he was aggressive, but like he was we made it to him obvious that we actually were joking, but he still didn't
Mm.
really
Yeah,
consider it
I
as
don't think he knew that. People, you want to address something Starhopper just said? He goes, Adar, Peeball said that he would be proud to have his kids be martyrs. That means he would be proud if they killed you, but you're thrilled to see him.
no.
That's the disconnect with the left right here.
Wow. So like that was a comment on one of Corey Gilshuser videos. Like he was like saying something like he was making a comment of um he was making like that Palestinians hate um hate Israel more than they like love their children or something, like they're ready to sacrifice their children to just for like it's like it's something like if it's what I was meaning, like I told him I would be happy if my child was a martyr. And yeah,
Yeah, so yeah,
that was very I understand.
you were engaging in just like you guys were just having a go at each other, I guess. You found him inflammatory, you wanted to be inflammatory back.
Yeah, like I hate Starhopper because like he's extremely racist. He's like
Right.
like he even says that we don't even exist. Like the whole Palestinian people don't exist. Like
Yeah,
we
no,
need to.
I could understand why he would you would be inflamed by certain things Starhopper said, without a doubt. But just try to not stoop to people's levels. If somebody is acting shitty, um, you know, you don't need to say you want your children to be martyrs unless you actually believe that. But
No,
I think
I don't really believe that, but like
our
I just
children
wanted to
deserve
anger
better.
him. He's like like at that time I was like I was debating a lot of like right wing Zionists, and like I really like they're like from the far left or whatever, from the far right, like and I experienced something like they were very hateful against me, so I became more hateful. That's before
Right.
I joined the server.
So yeah, Starhopper, I hope that you hear this and that you see that your rhetoric actually inflames Palestinians. Like your contribution to the activism has not been helpful. It's actually made Palestinians more extreme. Maybe your contribution to day-to-day life, maybe your job, maybe you're a family man. I can't comment on that, but your contribution to activism, Starhopper, has really been one that has, on one hand, gotten Palestinians to be inflamed, further aiding in their radicalization, and it's also just made people think less highly of Jewish people because they see how you act. So keep that in mind. You know, I don't think you want to have a negative contribution to this world,
and
at least in
also
terms of activism.
I didn't mean an attack on being martyr. You know, martyring is like being like being killed in honor of like fighting for your freedom or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No, I hear that.
yeah,
I
like
hear you.
it doesn't have anything to just like attack people and like saying he will be happy to kill you. He said something like that in his comment.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up. I do want to take one comment that I see made by Jake. So Jake, this is actually a very common misconception, and it's just all around harmful. Jake goes, Palestinians come from Arabia. They colonized the area through war. So it's true that Arabs colonized the area. The people they conquered were the indigenous people of this land. Those people are today Palestinians. So it's true that they did intermarry, so Palestinians are part Arab, and their culture certainly has been Arabized, but they are the indigenous population like us. Many Palestinians used to be Jews or Samaritans or another indigenous group to this land who was colonized and then converted to Islam. But it's not that the Arabs came, killed it, and kicked everybody out, and then those are the Arabs. That's not the case. Palestinians today, if you trace their bloodline back, it goes back thousands. Not all, right? You did have immigration, but many Palestinian bloodline goes thousands of years back on this land, the same way Jews have it. So, you know, we often say that Jews and Muslims are cousins, biblically speaking, right? You have Ishmael and Isaac, right? But we're actually brothers. We're long lost siblings, brothers and sisters, because it's not just that we're cousins through Isaac and Ishmael. We actually come from the same people who, for the past few thousand years, have just lived very different lives, and now we're reconnected, fighting with one another. But we should see that as our commonality that connects us. And saying that Palestinians come from Arabia is the same thing like saying that Jews are just European colonizers and have no connection to the land. We need to stop erasing people's connection to the land. It's just not helpful.
Yeah, like both people are indigenous to the land. You know, it's like
yeah, we're both indigenous. That's something we have in common.
Like they're indigenous. Like denying that is not gonna work. Like you're gonna be, you know.
Yeah. Amen. Cool. We're gonna wrap it up. Any final words, P-Ball?
No, actually, I was just saying something about Nate's saying and about Starhopper's comment. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy you got to express yourself. As always, it's great chatting with you. I see the chat's still active. We could have an after party. I'm not gonna join, but whoever wants, I'm gonna drop a Discord link. You can join the Discord on the left-hand side. It says Lounge. You click Lounge, and you'll be connected via voice. You don't need to speak or show yourself, but we'll do an after party there. I just dropped it there. Yeah, see you all. I don't know. We're gonna have. I guess next Sunday I'm going to be on Israel Advocacy Movement's page debating Joseph Cohen on the Nakba, and we're going to do a live stream sometime next week, probably a video review where we review and debunk a video. And we don't have a Thursday debate or panel set up yet, but we're working on setting them up. So I hope to see you all there. And yeah, much love. Signing out.